Blog Talk Radio.
Well, welcome to our show today. If you know anything about working the web to win, then you realize that it's vital that you feed the top 5 social networks on a daily basis if you hope to achieve page 1 placement on search engines like Google. I'm talking Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, and even YouTube. The problem with this equation is that since they're owned and operated by computer programmers, guess what? They keep changing the rules so that you need a scorecard to be able to find anything. Plus, let's face it, who has the time to feed all those social nets every single day? On today's episode, we're going to endeavor to show you some of the changes that are taking place on the Big 5. Plus, we're also going to show you how to automate much of what needs to be done so you can get on with running your business. Additionally, we're also going to tell you about a pair of industry-specific social networks that can help you drive traffic, get connected, and maybe even find a job. Our special guest today is Joanne Weiland of Link to Expert, who operates one of these specialty social nets. But before I introduce her, I'd like to let Hector give you the call-in number so you can feel free to join the conversation. Take it away, Hector.
So for our guests out there in cyber world, the number is 213-943-3808. That's 213-943-3808. You can call in during the show and ask any of your questions. Of course, you can talk to us. You can talk to Joanne. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, YouTube, and Pinterest. And, of course, you can go to workingthewebtowin.com and workingthewebtowin.blogspot.com also.
That's right. And also, we'd also like to thank our sponsors. I'll let you start off.
I'd like to talk about MedMaster, which is a brand new network. They're the first completely dedicated to medical industry social network. So it's like a closed community for the social networking of jobs and recruiters and all those kinds of things. And they've done really a fabulous job. And again, they've got all the compliance issues down under one hat.
And if you're in the medical profession, you can join for free. And we're going to actually show you a lot more details about MedMasters because that's one of the specialty networks we're going to feature on today's show.
And the other one is Tub King. They provide some of the coolest looking tubs that are used in a lot of the special movies with Cameron Diaz and so on. And they have therapeutic tubs that can really take care of all those aches and pains that you may have.
That's right. So to get started with the show, let's introduce Joanne because Joanne is with Link to Expert. How are you doing today, Joanne?
Fabulous. How are you, Carl?
So far, so good. You know, when it comes to working the web, obviously, it's more than just going out there and doing the work. It helps if you can find a lot of like-minded people who have your back, and that's one of the things I like about Link to Expert, which, by the way, I'm a member of. But I'm going to let you tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit more about your network, the inspiration for it, and how it works.
In a nutshell, it's an interactive publicity platform for different experts to be found. Because of the fact that, just like what you were just saying a couple minutes ago, it's just so hard to keep up with everything, so we just work all together and help expose each other, amplify each other's message.
Yeah, I understand that you work with not only entrepreneurs, but also a lot of personalities and authors. I mean, what are the types of people that really should consider joining your site?
Consultants, coaches, team builders, trainers, speakers, facilitators, authors, attorneys, doctors, anybody that has a specialty. And normally they have a smaller staff, so they don't really have a whole lot of people to help them do all their networking and marketing, and that's where we can come in and help them.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really like about your social network is the fact that it allows you to include a lot of the material, the collateral material that you develop. I mean, I've got blogs on there, I've got podcasts from our show, and even complete videos from YouTube. So it helps to automate a lot of the things that most people have to do on a daily basis and add to that little army in the field that helps you generate results. Now, I notice you also work to help people get speaking engagements and things like that. Tell them a little about some of that, because that's really very fascinating to a lot of people that have the expertise but don't know how to get out there.
Exactly, and that's what we found, that a lot of people, they actually do a lot of things like this, being on a radio show, but they don't have a place to post it. And so not only do we have a place for them to post it, but the real benefit is that we go after all these different executive groups that the members are either the business owner or the C-level executive, and we tell them to use this as a resource to be able to find the experts. And the reason that is so important when they find them, that they can see all their credentials in one place, like you just described, all their videos, their blogs, their articles, things that they, their books, whatever they have, material, workbooks, online training, whatever it is, all in one place, so that they can make a decision if they would like to call that person directly. And usually within 7 minutes, they can even decide if they want to hire them. So we've taken a process that normally took months and converted it down into minutes to be able to find that expert, check their credentials, and hire them in minutes.
And like I said, it's also a great way to get the word out.
Yep.
Yes.
Speaking of getting the word out, I mean, a lot of these social nets, they just keep growing and growing and growing. And the more we think about it, the more they become part of our lives. As a matter of fact, they've drastically altered the way we use the internet. I mean, it used to be search, Yahoo, and so on. And now the number one player is a social network, which is Facebook. So that's where I'd really like to start the part of the show when we're talking about all the different Roundup changes that have been happening in the social world.
So what you're going to do is you're going to start by talking about WhatsApp at Facebook?
WhatsApp. I actually, a lot of people are talking about this because most people don't know that WhatsApp is a big deal, not so much in the U.S. It's not a big deal here. But in South America and Europe, they use that a lot because in those countries, it costs a lot of money to text. And with WhatsApp, essentially, that was a free type of process. And what Facebook is trying to really do here is they're trying to get into the mobile market in a big way and get into places where things are free so then they can actually get a footprint or a face print, if you will, into those types of different things. So that's a really big news. I think the thing that shocked a lot of people, though, was the amount of money they spent for it.
Of course, $19 billion.
It's a huge amount of money.
You can buy some small countries for that.
And when we talk about LinkedIn in a minute here, you'll see how much of a bargain the Bright was that they bought for like $120 million or something like that. So that's the biggest news maker of this week, and it's a Facebook thing, obviously. Another one that I thought was sort of strange is Facebook came out with this thing called add a gender option. So when you sign on, you can make yourself either, an androgynous person or a transvestite, they got 58 different categories that you can say that you belong to. And again, I understand it's sort of a bold move, but I don't know that they needed 58 categories. So that made a lot of big headlines there.
What I'm trying to figure out is how could you have 58 different genders? Okay,
Yeah,
really creative.
They were working very hard to come up with that, I'm telling you. One of my favorites on the Facebook field, though, is this thing called Look Back. And Look Back allows, it automatically creates it so that you can go in and see how your year has been or how your whole existence in Facebook is. And this is really a cool thing for somebody who's passed away and who was on Facebook. So now you have sort of like a little memorial to them that is built in there.
Gone but not forgotten
Right.
on Facebook?
Right. And if you haven't put in a lot of stuff in there, it'll actually make you like a thank you card right now. But if you've got a lot of stuff, a lot of posts and things, it actually makes this really cool look back thing. And it's pretty easy to get to. You just go into Facebook, you type in facebook.com/lookback. Now you have to be logged in. And
Right.
it actually shows you your look back for your channel. The last three ones, one's called Facebook Paper.
Okay.
I don't know if you're an iPhone user, it's a sort of a big deal because it's only available for the iPhone. So you can actually send little stories back and forth to use pictures and words and so on. And again, it's iPhone specific, but one day they'll have it for the Android. The year in review is very easy to use. Again, if you have a Facebook account, you type in facebook.com/year in review, and it gives you your year in review for your specific Facebook channel. And of course, the last one is the Facebook donations. So if you like to give to charities and don't really know how to go about doing it, you can now go to something like 18 different charities that are on Facebook. Click on them and donate live on their pages.
In fact, I just put in Facebook year in review, and I've got a picture of several pictures in here, including the one with us doing the Christmas special, and it's kind of interesting. It's flashing through a lot of different
And what's
things.
neat is you can actually go in there and then look at your friends' years and reviews and a whole bunch of other really cool stuff. So it's sort of a neat thing that then it's totally automated. It picks the pictures. Supposedly you can go in there and edit the ones you want. I haven't been able to figure out how to do that yet, but on the site itself, in the blog.
There's the one with our producer wearing the antlers.
Yeah.
Reindeer antlers.
But and on the blog itself, you can go in and find instructions on how to do all these things. So I think Facebook has done some cool things this year, better than last year, maybe with some of the crazy stuff that they were doing.
But see why they have a donation on there. They got to try to raise that $19 billion. I mean, how drunk was he when he made that decision?
Well, now they aren't asking for donations for them. It's for
Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
it's for charities that they're asking for those things. So. I just thought it was sort of weird. When I look at that compared to LinkedIn,
Right.
Again, LinkedIn purchased a company recently. And a lot of these social media giants are buying companies like they're going out of style.
Mm-hmm.
They bought a company called Bright out of San Francisco. And what this company does is adds to their technology for doing more specific types of searches. So I always thought LinkedIn searches were pretty good.
Right.
I mean, you could drill down to exactly what you're looking for.
I mean, it's a good business-to-business social. Do you use LinkedIn much, Joanne?
Yes, we're actually up to 20 million connections.
Wow. That's dwarfs mine. I only got like 1,200 or something.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you, because she's got what's nice about having a network is you got a lot of feed coming back and forth, a lot of synergy. So that's one of the great things, which is we're tied in with them. And hopefully in the not too distant future, we're talking about maybe even putting together our own little web radio station with some of the people that are on Linked Expert.
And that would be a really, really fun thing. So
now I found an interesting article on LinkedIn. It says LinkedIn is doing what Facebook, Google, and Twitter can't, expanding in China.
There you go.
Because in a lot of places they're restricted on what they can do, and apparently LinkedIn must have greased the right fortune cookie because they're getting a lot more play than a lot of the other, also a lot of the other networks that are out there, because they're not really standing on their feet and saying you can't do this, and you can't do that.
Well, a lot of the other networks really sort of try and dictate the way they want things.
Right.
But in China, it's the other way around. So China dictates how you do stuff, and apparently LinkedIn.
So with two you get LinkedIn, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, with two you get LinkedIn. LinkedIn added something that I think a lot of LinkedIn users really have been waiting for, and that's you can block the annoying people who keep sending you stuff. So that's something that just
I'm trying to block you. Hold on.
Right. That's something that just came out really recently, and again, I know that people have been asking for that for quite some time. So that feature, and there are other new things going on. Again, we can't cover everything in a half an hour.
Does that work if somebody's trying to serve you a divorce summons? I'm blocking them.
I don't know that would work. I mean, and after talking about LinkedIn,
there's no app for that?
There's no app for that. We move on to Twitter, and Twitter. The main things that have been happening in Twitter is they're trying to figure out how to make it grow, how to make money, because now they're a public company.
That's right.
Because before they weren't public, so they weren't under the scrutiny of everybody and their brother. Mm-hmm. But now, the first financials came out. Right. They showed a loss. They're showing growth, but they're still showing that they don't know how to make money yet. Mm-hmm. And that's really got them under the watchful eye for a bunch of different things. They also are trying to be more like Facebook, so they came out with their new profile look. A little more full, where you can put bigger pictures and expand the pictures and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people don't like it. Some people do like it. It doesn't bother me, per se. The only thing I don't like is that they're still trying to tell you who you need to follow, but I think, again, that's about trying to figure out how to make money, because if they can put that up there, that's a sellable piece of real estate, and that's where they would go with that.
I got a little Twitter article over here. I don't know if you caught. This was kind of caught my attention, as it says, Goldman Sachs elevator mystery Twitter account unmasked. Did you read that one?
No, I didn't read that one.
It's about a 34-year-old former bond executive who never actually worked for Goldman Sachs, but he posted tweets that literally ended up giving him not only 624,000 followers that, were looking to share the inside dirt on what was being said in the elevators, but he's also got a book and movie deal. And now that they found out that he does not work at Saks, the people at Saks said, now we can let our people talk on the elevators again. There's actually a standing order, don't talk in the elevator, because this stuff's getting posted to Twitter, and here, I don't know how he got the information.
He might have been just guessing well.
That's what I was thinking, because like I said, it says he didn't even actually work there, but he built up a following of literally 624,000 followers.
Hey, he could have actually been monitoring employees' Twitter accounts. Who knows?
Yeah, well, we know there's all kinds of ways in the door where you don't actually have to physically be there.
You don't have to physically be there.
And if you don't know how to do it, you can go to some of our back issues, our other episodes, and you'll see that.
Yeah.
So
we're at the middle of the show here, approximately, and I wanted to make sure that our listeners, when they go to the blog, you can just go down to the bottom of the page, and there's a link down there where you can actually get a free copy of our new book that's just coming out. It's Working the Web to Win, and it's modeled on a lot of the topics that we've talked about on the show here. So I think the book is actually modeled on like 50 or 60 episodes.
Well, more than that, because we've actually pulled a lot of our, how we started the business and what we brought to the equation, and we show people how to tactically go out and actually go after position on the internet by doing the things, not so much gaming the system, but doing the things that Google wants you to do.
Yeah.
And that's what we do, is we show people and companies how to go out there and jump onto page one. In fact, we're one of the few companies that actually guarantees it.
We were talking about, Twitter and the things they've been doing. Again, Twitter has jumped past doing some big things. Their numbers are up, but overall, they still don't have enough money coming in to pay the kiddies. So.
Well, the big guys are one thing, but and again, we see a lot of people. It's one thing to have the F for Facebook and the T for Twitter and the G for Google Plus on your website. But it's another thing to feed it.
Right.
And one of the things we're going to talk about in the second half is how you can automate some of that so that it doesn't run you to ground, so that you can go on with things that you need to do the most to run your business and let it work for you.
Yeah, my favorite tool of all the ones that I've out, unless you're using an agency tool like HubSpot or Focus or something like that, is Hootsuite. Mm-hmm. Hootsuite is free to anybody who wants to use it. The pro model is not all that expensive, so if you wanted to have a team of people with you, so if a company wanted to have 4 or 5 employees have access to the account, they can divvy up how they talk about things. What they really need to do is, and what the biggest mistake most companies have, is they don't have any kind of policy in place. Mm-hmm. You got to put limits in place on what people can talk about and say if it's a company type of account.
That's right.
Individual account, I would also tell people that you really need to have limits too, because posting about drinking on Sunday night and stuff like that
not a good idea.
Get you in trouble.
One of the things I want to talk about is my favorite social network, which most people don't even regard as a social network. It's called YouTube.
Right.
Most people only consider it to be a video portal, but it actually works like a search. I mean, not only like a search engine, but also works like a video portal, a search engine, and a social network all rolled into one. And the best part about it is it's visual.
Right. Well, one of the things that you notice if you look at it, they've actually modeled it a little bit after Facebook. Mm-hmm. So now the comments go down below, and it's got a news stream. Any video you watch actually shows up in your stream unless you don't want it to.
Right.
As a matter of fact, one of the biggest newsmakers on YouTube was that they've improved the manageability of the news feed and the news stream. So they gave it essentially a new profile look. Similar to what Twitter did.
Yeah, and also I've got a little article here that says kids may be leaving Facebook, but they love YouTube. Right. Because believe it or not, YouTube is actually the world's largest superstation. Joanne, guess how many videos are shown on YouTube every single day? Take a guess. Wild guess.
Million?
4 billion with a B.
4 billion? Oh,
4 billion videos per day are streamed on YouTube. I mean, that's more video content than all the television content rolled into one since television started.
Right. And again, when people think about YouTube, they think about all the zany stuff that's on there. And another thing they think about is when you look at the comments, the comments on YouTube have been, from the zany to the profound.
Yeah.
But now, Google has instituted a new policy that if you want to make a comment on a YouTube video, you got to be a member of Google Plus.
Right, which is crazy.
Right.
But they're trying to drive everybody into that Google Plus pocket. They did that with Local a while ago, too. You can't make a comment on Google Local. So, Joanne, do you YouTube?
Yes.
What kind of posts do you have on there? Do you have? Do you just do like little vlogs, or do you have any type of special episodes or tips? Well, what do you usually post on YouTube?
Actually, right now we've been just posting the experts' videos. We actually put it on our YouTube channel.
I know I've got a bunch of them on there. In fact, you can find most of our episodes from Working the Web to Win on Link to Expert, because it gives us another way to promote them.
Right.
Have you ever thought of doing some type of a little, how-to show to show people some of the little tricks of the trade, little mini episodes? Because the beauty of YouTube, even though our show's 30 minutes just because of, the radio show, but you can actually make episodes 2-3 minutes long. They're very, very, palatable. People like the short episodes.
That's a great idea. I mean, we did it with the audio already in podcasts, and we did them in 17 minutes, and we did some in 7-minute segments. So, that's a great idea. It's just like everything. I mean,
Yeah, it takes time. I know. Yeah, well, and I've been on with you on a couple of little webinars that you give to your your members and things like that. Have you been capturing those as videos and posting them? If not, that's another good way to use your YouTube power.
No, it's a great idea. We do some of it. I mean, we do. I can't say every time, but we try to remember and always do it and post them as quick as possible. So, yes, overall.
One of the other things that we wanted to talk about was the other specialty network, MedMasters.
Yes.
That's another social network, and what's great about MedMasters is, again, it's dedicated to one industry only. In this case, it's dedicated to the medical profession. And I'm not just talking about doctors and nurses. I mean, they've got everybody in there from medical IT to medical sales.
Pharmaceutical sales.
That's right.
Recruiters that specialize in medical sales and so on. It's very designed specifically for the medical industry, and what's neat about it, it was designed by medical people.
That's right.
For medical people.
Well, of course, because especially doctors. We've got some doctors that are clients on our own, and sometimes they barely get out of their own way. Their day is so busy. So when they need something, they need it now, and they don't have a lot of time to mess around. What's great about MedMasters is it's all categorized. You can sort, you can select, you hit a couple of buttons, and you can find the people that you want to interface with, and you point, click, and it's done.
And they've got secure inside mail and so on that doesn't go out through Google and so on that people can watch. So it's a really neat system, and it's very, very comprehensive. That's what really makes it different than a lot of the other players that are out there. It's an all-in-one place. You don't have to go to a dozen different places. You can actually upload videos of just about anything you want to do. You can do it within that platform without ever having to leave and go anywhere else.
Yeah,
and it's free.
That's right.
To join.
That's right. And we've spoken with Rick Fromm, who's the CEO. And what I like about my favorite part of the whole network is the fact that people that are looking for jobs, they have an entire job section that people from all over the country will enter in all kinds of jobs, whether it's, like I said, medical sales, or if you're looking to connect with a recruiter, and literally it's all right in there. And all you have to do is push a couple of buttons, and then you can also put a video resume on there, which I thought was really neat.
The video resume is one of the things you need. As a matter of fact, it's such a cool feature that I know LinkedIn is talking about adding that to their setup. So I think one of the things that's really cool about it, that sign up is quick, minute or two at most. And as soon as you're signed up, you're up and running. And of course, they've got video tutorials on how to use this stuff. I mean, it's really
a very sophisticated system. And again, I think it's what we're talking about is the next wave in social networking. Instead of having these gigantic, social nets that's all things to all people, you're gonna start seeing a lot more of these specialized social networks popping up.
So we were talking about YouTube a minute ago before we got into the two special things. We'll come back to them also. But Google's in the news too. And a lot of the stuff that Google's been, in the news about is not necessarily good stuff.
Right.
I mean, they keep updating their network, and they keep growing and all those kinds of things. But one of the things that I think scared a lot of people, because they've been talking about the privacy issue for a while, is they were hijacked recently. So, So they had a big security breach that they think was an inside job, and somebody hijacked about 10% of their Gmail accounts and 10% of their Map accounts. Now, 10% doesn't sound like a big number, but when you have 500 million users, that's like 30 to 50 million people. And if it was one of yours, you would not be happy.
Well, what happens if that happens to you?
Oh, and this is another thing. They recently instituted an application where you can write to other people that you don't have their email address.
Right.
So if they're on Gmail and they're on Google Plus, you can write them by just typing in their name, and their email address will show up. So there's some privacy issues there that they're going to have to deal with pretty soon. And they may not change it. They may just leave that as a feature. But again, those are two big things that were in the news that people are clamoring about, especially the privacy issue and the breaches. A lot of people ask us about Pinterest and Instagram. And those, I thought we'd talk about a little bit, because we haven't really talked about them very much in the past. Pinterest...
You got about a minute.
Yeah. Pinterest actually outgrew... It's actually the fastest growing social network ever to reach 10 million unique visitors.
Right.
Okay, so that's faster than Facebook, Twitter, anybody else. And they're also one of the fastest monetized social networks. They're actually making more money per user than Facebook. So that's a big deal there. And again, if you have pictures of things that you want to use, that's why you're going to use Pinterest. Instagram, on the other hand, is one of the new babies that Facebook bought last year.
Right.
They actually just finalized the transaction. But this is sort of like WhatsApp. They're trying to get at social users because, I mean, the
Right.
people who use Instagram, which is primarily Apple users,
Right.
they're addicted to sending pictures of each other, over the phone. And that's what Facebook is trying to just tap into. So they just now have to figure out how to monetize it. But the big thing about Instagram that I thought would report is Instagram is now reporting that they have rights to sell your photos.
Right.
So, so if you've been sending photos to each other,
Hey, everybody else is doing it. Why not? Right.
nice photos or otherwise, they now own your photos.
Oh man.
So that was the thing I thought I'd bring
I'm
up.
telling Mom.
I know, because all this sexting
And
and
I
all that
can.
kind of stuff that people are doing, it's a big issue. We got about 3 minutes left.
Got time for Worldwide Weird?
We got to do the worldwide wear.
Okay. Well, you know what I wanted to kind of clue you in is, you and I grew up with George Jetson and all the
Right.
things like Rosie the Robot and the flying cars and everything. Well, guess what? These things are becoming reality. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I really liked was it says real life talking RoboCop. And what it is, this is not like you've seen on RoboCop on the movie.
Right.
This is a telepresence cop. These are literally, they're trying to come up with a device where a lot of these disabled policemen and women
Right.
will be able to go back on the beat using more or less an avatar.
We put it out in front of the school. Okay, kid.
That's it. I'm telling you that this is the next wave that they're looking at for law enforcement. And well, look at it this way. I don't think I'd want to mess with the dude because he was pretty mean.
Just don't give him a gun. I mean, then we really got to worry about something. Like,
And then the other one, and this
Judge Dredd.
yeah, this keeps coming up from time to time, flying cars. And this one's the one that I thought was the most interesting because it literally, you see all the little drones that they've got out there, like the one that Nash is flying around in our studio not too long ago, the quadcopters and things like this. Well, this is taking the quadcopter concept and mating it with a car. So it's a little more practical than some of the quote-unquote flying cars that I've seen out there recently. In fact, here's a picture of one of them.
Now, is that a real picture?
I
of the
think right
flying
now
car?
it's a concept.
I was going to say,
But I mean, the
think that's
thing
a
is,
Photoshop
it looks
deal.
like technology that looks a little more reasonable to a lot of the flying cars that I've seen recently. Because these things keep coming back around. I mean, flying cars have been out there, including some real flying cars, for probably about 50 years.
Yeah.
It's just no one's ever been able to make one practical. And like I said, with all of the new, you see all the what do you call it? The gyroscopically controlled platforms that they're using for cameras. It's just a matter of time before they scale them up. What was it? Amazon not too long ago was talking about using quadcopters to make delivery. And I know that on like some of the things like Kickstarter, they've actually had quadcopters that can carry 100 pounds.
Well, it won't be long before you see quadcopters that can carry 800 pounds.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's why something like this, the flying car, because look at it this way, they can't keep building roads over everything. After a while, you just run out of roads and they just get too crowded, and we all get stuck in gridlock. This is one way to get out of gridlock.
Yeah, move on to the next way. We want to thank our sponsors, Tub King, Senior Tub, and also MedMasters.
That's right.
And we also definitely want to thank Joanne for being on the show today.
Appreciate you showing up, Joanne. I'm sure we'll have you on a future episode. And
Thank you. And I just wanted to quickly remind you,
Sure.
when you do join Link to Expert, your message automatically gets posted on all of the social medias as well as specialty social media sites as well.
all right.
Oh, great. We know we want to talk about next week's topic. It's going to be in search of digital donations, and we'll
Okay.
have a guest on the show.
You actually got to have a couple of guests.
And then the week after that, are you prepared for technological extinction?
Extinction.
Extinction,
Yes.
not extinction. And then Facing the Music will be the show following that one. So I think that's about all we have for this week's topic.
Keep working the web to win.